Welcome back with Mr. Telestrator, Rondé Barber. I'm J.P. Peterson. Jon Gruden tied with Eagles coach Andy Reid for the most wins in the last 3 seasons, 34. But, of course, Jon did it with 2 different teams. That makes a big difference. I sat down with Coach earlier this week. He talked not so much about the 49ers, but his first season with the Bucs.
Coach, first of all, in your first season, there's a lot of adversity, certainly. Your quarterback went down for 3 or 4 games. A lot of these players you never knew before, a whole new system to win 12 games and to be in the position you are. How proud are you of this team, and what do you think the real key points of this season were?
Oh, I'm really proud of this team and the coaching staff. You know, I didn't know a lot of these coaches, any of these coaches really, other than Monty Kiffin when I came here. We've lost some players, McFarland, Marcus Jones. We've been able to hang in there. I just think the resiliency of this team, I think the win in Carolina, as ugly as it was to some people, without our quarterback, winning it in a come-from-behind fashion, I think that game really injected a lot of life into us, and it was a starting point for us.
Your coaching style has been described as intense, emotional, all that stuff. Was there any doubt when you came in here how the players would react to that? And at what point in the season did you really feel they know me now, they trust me now, and we're all on the same page?
Well, it takes time,
yeah.
And regardless of what people say, you know, when you succeed, a guy like Tony Dungy, who did a great job here, it's not going to be easy. You're not going to come in here and automatically earn people's trust without earning it. And I felt confident in the program that I was bringing here, the coaching staff that we have assembled, and I thought in time they would see that it works and they would buy into it. Unfortunately for me and for this team, guys like Warren Sapp, John Lynch, Derek Brooks, the quarterback Brad Johnson, the key veteran players, Keyshawn Johnson, they supported me and gave me and this coaching staff an opportunity.
You mentioned Keyshawn, and always dealing with him is a challenge. It's been a challenge this year. How disappointing is it for you when you hear him come out and say he's not necessarily happy? He's 76 catches, over 1,000 yards, but they don't know how to use me. And how do you deal with a guy like that who is such a fantastic player, but can also give you some challenges from another aspect?
Well, I know where he's coming from, and I've been fortunate to be around some other really good receivers that might have had some of those same opinions.
Eccentric, aren't they?
But you know, when you look across the field and you see Keenan McCardell, you see Joe Juravicius, you see some guys that are also very good football players. The distribution of the ball is, you know, going to handle itself. But we've tried to feature him the best way that we can, and we expect to get him the ball more and more as the years unfold.
Derek Brooks has shown you some things that you haven't seen in players. You've said this publicly. Was he one of those key guys that you knew that you had to get him to buy into your system, and every one of these guys would follow? Absolutely,
and it's no different really in dealing with a new free agent. You know, bringing in a Ken Dilger, a veteran football player like Greg Spires. A lot of these guys have played a lot of football in different places, and it's important that we get these veteran players to play at their best. And certainly when a head coach is brought in, there's change made, it's difficult. But Derek has had a lot to do with this team and the success that we have had.
Coach, you basically have 2 teams in the playoffs. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears with the Oakland Raiders. How hard is it to not even cast a little eye to those guys that you shared so much with, and how great they're playing right now?
Well, you know, I'm a human being. I'm proud of those guys, very proud of them. And, you know, hopefully we'll have an opportunity to maybe see them down the road. But at the same time, I respect the players in this league to not talk about my experiences there or my personal feelings there. You know, my love and my concentration is right here in Tampa, and we're going to keep it that way.
You've got a lot of 49er blood running through you. Your dad worked for him for a long time. You started there, somewhat of a Bill Walsh disciple. Stories of you watching the old films of Bill Walsh teach that offense. Does that play into it anywhere in this game, that this is such an important game in your next part of your career?
Well, it really does. You know, the San Francisco 49ers, in spite of what anybody thinks, have won world championships. And they're on the cutting edge of maybe winning another one. And for us to move forward as an organization, we need to beat them in a game like this. And it's going to take a lot of hard work, but that's what we got to do, and that's what we want to do.
Coach Mariucci and you, very similar in a lot of different ways, young guys. Very few coaches have had the success that you guys have had. You coached with him. What's that relationship like, and how does that a bit of fun this week to be matching wits with him?
Well, it does. You know, Andy Reid and Steve Mariucci and myself were young grunts on Mike Holmgren's first staff in Green Bay for 3 years there, and you know, I respect him a lot. We both came from a long way out to ever get an opportunity in the NFL, let alone being a head coach. But somebody's got to win this game, and by God, we want to win it.
Coach, this team has been here and done a lot of great things, but they've never won a championship. When you look back on some of the great Hall of Fame players, they've won championships. Do you think about the validation of the Sapps, the Brooks, the Lynch, and what a championship could mean to those guys in their careers?
Absolutely. I'm very sensitive about that and what it means to the careers of everybody included in the organization and the city of Tampa. What a championship, a world championship can do is very exciting. But those are Hall of Fame players. Those guys are going to the Hall of Fame. But what a championship could bring to us and the future of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is very exciting.
Now, Rondé, with all due respect to Tony, who we love, what has Jon brought? What differences has he brought to this team?
Well, I think everybody knows about Jon Gruden. He knows about his intensity. You guys talked about it on the show. You know his persona. Everybody's seen it on TV. And you know what kind of guy he is. To me, he's a motivator. And all coaches have their own way of motivating people, but he's a master motivator in my mind. He does the old, you know, Newt Rockney, that type of stuff, the throwback type motivating tactics, and it gets under my skin. It gets a fire up on me. I think he's done that with a lot of players, but he even does it with his coaches. You know, he's smart enough, I think, to delegate his role as a head coach. And this year he broke our season into 4 parts, and he gave each coach, or 4 of our coaches, an opportunity to get in front of the team and be the leader for those 4 games. And the one that sticks out the most is Rod Marinelli. We talked about pounding the rock, pounding the rock, pounding the rock. And that's the same theme that you've heard all year long. At the end of the year, today, it's getting ready to start this playoff run, he talked about the same thing. He went back to his coaches' themes, and he's motivating his coaches the same way he's motivating his players. And I think that's getting a rise out of everybody in our locker room.
That's interesting stuff. Now, more developments on Keyshawn today, which we talked to Coach Gruden today. We taped that interview on Monday. You're going to want to stick around for that. It's very interesting stuff. But we've got more ahead.
Definitely. Everybody knows about the Bucs defense. If you're not, you're sleeping somewhere. Now the offense is trying to make a name for itself. And my brother Tiki joins us after the break to discuss the 49ers defense. Now put down the remote. This Sports Extra Bucs special, the playoff unfinished business. We'll be right back.